Hello and welcome to another video of Truckers World. As you can see, I'm at work, a very long shift in a class 1, okay? And today's video is all about basically what I've done in this class 1. I've been here now 3 days. The first day was pretty simple, it was just one drop, that was about it. And because I was meant to do a second drop, that wasn't ready, so I kind of had, in this place, I would say half a day of 8 hours work. Anyway, I'm going to give a review of yesterday, because today's been more or less the same and I haven't finished yet. So, here we go. So, first of all, I was given a text message by, obviously, I assume the transport manager, telling me where to go, what wagon to take, what trailer to take, and where to, with brief times. That's it. He didn't even give me his name. I had no idea about timesheets, driver check sheets, nothing like that. In fact, when I came in the cab, I couldn't even see a driver check sheet. There was no information given to me whatsoever. I can tell you that is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I've never had that before, even on a class 2. It was only because I saw a fellow driver who incidentally was on the same agency, and he's helped me out. He's given me driver sheets, time sheets. He's told me what to do and where to go, and all these little bits and bobs that you'd think your basically employer would have done for you, and they haven't, if I'm honest. So that's not the best thing, really. Anyway, got the gist of it, and I picked up this trailer, which was round the back. There's like a big warehouse in the middle where they unload you. That's where we deliver to. Lots of trailers around, and I had to ask the shunter had he seen this trailer, because it wasn't close by where I was at. Again, given no direction where the trailer might be. He told me where it was, so I hooked up to that. Everything okay, everything's fine. And I was told to go to Barrow, maybe 1 hour 45 from where I'm at, collect some stuff. Now, on the previous day I'd done a delivery, but the collections are not the same place. It's a little bit further up. It's quite a big place, but it's another further up entrance. Now, I didn't know that at the time, so I went to the delivery point, unbeknown, unstrapped everything, curtain back, and I was waiting maybe 20 minutes before somebody finally came up and said, look, you're in the wrong place, you have to go back down there and turn left. Easy enough, that's fine, but, you know, nobody told me. No instructions whatsoever. You know, kind of blind, really, just left in the dark to figure it out yourself. Went there, backed into the warehouse, seemed alright, wasn't too bad, and again I wasn't told really the routine about potentially loading up, because the straps have got to be crisscross, etc, etc, to make life easier, and that's how they do it. Fortunately, the forklift truck drivers, they knew how to do it, and they did help me. They helped me a lot, so I was very grateful for those. Come back here and preparing to unload. Now, obviously on this area there's a few drivers waiting to get unloaded, just like anywhere else. It didn't take too long to get called onto the bay, but by this time it was getting late, kind of late-ish in the afternoon. I was getting a little bit worried about obviously going back to Barrow, because that was the next port of call, going back for a second run. So I was getting a bit concerned with the time. Anyway, so I start to reverse onto the bay, and it's quite a tight bay. So you're going forwards, but there's not much room going forwards. So it's a little bit tricky, if I'm honest. Definitely. So I was struggling a little bit with the room, and obviously my inexperience in reversing. Anyway, this man came up who was of the, it must come from a European country, I'm not too sure where. And he tried to help me, bless him, you know, he did. But the only problem was he couldn't speak a word of English, so I was struggling to even understand him. And to be fair, I think it was just making it worse. It really was. I probably would have got there, but I just, you know, I was struggling even more then. And then another driver who works for this company, obviously as a full-time employee, came in and basically said, I'll do it, it's fine, you know. And they were understanding about it. There's no problem that way, but it did make it a little bit worse doing that. So, unloaded, obviously when you load up and you unload, everybody knows whether it's class 2 or class 1, it takes time, especially in these things, because it takes longer to get the curtain, it takes longer to unclip, it takes longer to strap up, all that, etc, etc, etc. And you can, you know, I would say the minimum is definitely 45 minutes, maybe longer. So it's quite a big deal. So after I'd unloaded, I looked at the time and I thought, oh, it's getting late this, maybe 3. You know, and I've got to go to Barrow again. I've been up since, sorry, I started work at 5. I should have mentioned that earlier. I started work at 5. Now what? So I decided, okay, I've got enough time. I'd only done maybe eight hours or so. I will go to get the second load. So I went to get the second load. Okay, not too bad. A little bit quicker this time. Came back here, where I'm at now, waiting to get unloaded. But by this time, it was coming up to about, I don't know, 6:45 maybe, give or take, 6:30, 6:45. And, you know, I was reaching at 7 o'clock, that would have been the 14 hours. And I'm thinking now, there's two trucks, you know, waiting to get unloaded. They're on the bays, curtains aside, they're waiting to get unloaded and no sign of anybody. And I'm thinking, how long is it going to take for me to get on there? And then I've got to undo the strapping. Then I've got to do all this. Then I've got to do all that. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? I'm not going to have time here. It's going to take me over 15 hours. I just didn't even want to risk it. It's one of them where I'm like, well, it might do, it might not do. But you don't want to be in that position, you know. And I was a bit disappointed that the company is not managing your workload within your time. I know you've got to manage your time as a driver. That's fine. But you would think that they give you your workload within that time, that you're sure, you know, 15 hours is enough to get that done. But it just appeared that it wasn't, and it was getting to maybe 10 to 7, I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have to make the call, because I didn't want to go up to 15 hours. I didn't want to risk doing those 15 hours or going over. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to pull the trailer around. I've spoken to the agency driver, and he was a bit like, yeah, if you don't have time, you're going to have to drop it, that's fine. And that's exactly what I did. And I texted the transport manager, if that's who he was, and he just asked, which number was it? Thanks. You know, there wasn't anything there, personal, anything like that. Not at all. But there you go. And that's what I did. And I ended up finishing at about 7:10, which would have been just over 14 hours. And that's quite a lot. You know, there's no question about that. That's quite a lot. Over 14 hours. I don't want to do loads of those shifts. I know companies that do that, that's fine. And it might be pretty standard for a lot of people, that's fine. But there are companies, from what I've heard, that certainly don't go up to those 15 hours. You know, maybe standard 10, 12. But, you know, I think anything over 12 can be difficult. But, you know, there you have it. I felt like most of the day I was always doing something, whether it was driving, unloading, strapping up, you know, sweating my balls off, doing that stuff. You know, I struggled getting a really good solid break, if you know what I mean by that. Drivers will know that. You know, it was just one of those things. And today's been similar. I did say that I wanted the Friday off because I thought I'm too tired. I've done 3 days, long days. I thought I need that time off. Agency kind of were a little bit against it. But they said, well, why don't you start a little bit later? And that's what I've done today. So I started at 7, and the time is now coming up to 5 to 8 in the evening. So you obviously work that out. My 15 hours are up, I think, at 10 o'clock, is it? Yeah, I think it is 10 o'clock. But I don't want to do the 15 hours. It's, you know, I don't want to keep pushing it to 15 hours. So, yeah, I'm looking at that clock and I'm thinking, if I'm not called over, which is, you know, I don't know if I will do, but if I'm not called over by 8:30, I might just make that call. Because again, like I said, if you're called over after that, 8:45, you know, and then you obviously reverse, get unloaded, that takes time, then pull the trailer off, strap it back up, and then unhook it, or drop it, as they say. You know, you're cutting it fine. You're cutting it fine to do all that, without a doubt. So, and with these guys, it's not the fastest unload time either. Very much health and safety conscious these days. A lot of these forklift truck drivers obviously got, you know, no fault of their own, but they're a job's worth, you know, and you've got to stay where you are. You can't do jobs in between, which would normally I would say is pretty safe. But yeah, you can't do that. You can't shortcut basically. So yeah, I'm unsure. And if it carries on, I'm not risking going over those 15 hours. Definitely not. So we've got a decision to make, and we'll go from there. But yeah, overall, I mean, I could probably get used to this, but I wouldn't want to do it every day. So, you know, I could do it for maybe 2, maximum 3 days a week. But after that, I think, no, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do the 15-hour days. And I don't want to do it where I'm having to risk it. This is what my point is. You know, it's one thing doing it, and you know you're going to finish within 15 hours. You know, that's fair enough. You know, it's not like I'm expecting to finish after 8 hours, 9, 10, whatever. You know, I just want to be finished within the legal time. But it's not like that. I'm looking at the clock now, kind of biting my fingernails, thinking, well, I'm waiting. You know, I've still got to get on there, unstrap. Do I have time? You know, and that's the problem. I don't want to be put in that position, but that'll be up to me to manage, and if that's how it is, that's how it is. So there we have it. There's a review. I'm sure there's lots of firms like that out there. I'm sure you Class 1 drivers, experienced ones, will certainly be able to tell a tale or two and be able to relate to that. Next week, I've told them I'm only going to be doing, this is the agency, 2 days. I've got obviously family, and you know, last night when I came home and I finished, I had to then help get the kids ready for the bedtime routine, help get them ready for the morning, as in like pre-packing, packling stuff, and then I was off to bed. I thought, I can't do this all the time. I just can't. We've got no help with the kids, etc. But that's another story. We don't want to be depressing you with that, do we? So next week, hopefully, it'll be maybe 2 days maximum, I think, and we'll go from there. So hopefully this has helped. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. As a Class 2 driver, you know, it's an eye-opener. It's a bit of a learning curve on these things. As a car driver to straight to Class 1, it really will be a learning curve, because you've got all the other stuff to learn as well. All the other stuff, you know. So, you know, you may well be thinking, bloody hell, what did I get myself into here? But I do believe if you give it more time, you learn a bit more about the industry and different companies, I think that'll that'll help settle your nerves. And incidentally, today, as far as experience goes, I was on the standard trailers, you know, the other day. Today, they put me on the longer trailers, and you might have seen them. They're that little bit longer, and I'm telling you now, it makes a difference. So I've had experience, you know, of driving those things. I'm looking at a normal trailer now, and already I'm thinking, oh, that looks quite small. So there's a lot to take in, isn't there? Loads. But there you go. No crashes, no incidents. It's all good. I'm confident driving these things now as far as on the road. It's just the reversing now I've got to maybe get my head round. And it's coming a little bit here and there. Sometimes you go back a bit, and then other times you think, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad. But I'll keep you posted anyway with more updates. If you guys got any questions, or you want to do a video or anything like that, by all means let me know. I certainly don't have all the answers, but that's what you want. You want, you know, especially for new drivers, you're going to be in a similar boat, you know, and I'm going to give you the first-hand experience and the feelings that I have. And definitely now, you know, one of the main feelings I've got, I'll make this quick and end this video, is the anxiety. You're looking at the clock and thinking, don't I, you know, I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want to come back, I'd like to come back here for a day or two here and there, but I don't want to go up in time, you know, it's that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm with you there. Right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon for the next video. Keep on trucking.